Hi there, KOIN 6 meteorologist Josh Cozart here with your latest weather forecast. Thanks for joining us on KOIN Now, where we are streaming not only on Facebook, but YouTube and KOIN.com, where you can get the latest weather information, news, or sports updates just one click away at KOIN.com. So we got a lot to break down. We are talking about the return for potential winter weather for us here in the Pacific Northwest. This would be a nice change of pace after the dry conditions we've been experiencing over quite some time, including our weekend, which gave us some bright blue sunny skies, dry conditions, but also some fantastic mountain views, as we also take a live look at a very dry but clear sky above our heads over downtown Portland. That's the image that you see just below me. But as far as those mountain views go, still holding on to that snowpack, we are still exactly where we should be for the end of January, the start of February. So on that front, at least, we are in a good situation. But there is the chance for winter snow to potentially take aim at parts of the Portland-Vancouver area. So this KOIN Now will be kind of diving into that potential. Keep in mind, it's still about a week or so out. We'll discuss that timeline in detail as well. But if you happen to have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Share this video. That way your friends and family members can be up to date with the latest information. And the beauty of this being live is you get to chime in. We can have a discussion, make it more interactive with one another. And we'll try to get through this forecast together because there is a lot to unfold. So let's first start off with just the beautiful views. Let's take a deep breath in preparation for that winter weather as we move our way deeper into the winter season. But like I mentioned, good snowpack still remaining with live looks, or I should say views out over Mount Hood and Mount St. Helens. So just to kind of break down exactly where we should be for the end of January, the start of February, 96 inches, historically speaking, for Timberline Lodge. Right now we're at 99. We've slowly seen that chisel down over the past week to 2 weeks or so, just because we have not seen any new snow building up over those mountain locations. Now, I had some friends who were just up on Mount Hood out towards Meadows the other day. They said, the snow wasn't the light, fluffy stuff that you might come to think of when you see accumulative snow happening so frequently. They said a lot of it's kind of icy, which is what I anticipated, because you're getting melting during the day, then refreezing at night, so it's just kind of turning into a sheet of ice. Maybe less than ideal. It's not that white powder that so many of us dream of, but at least it's stable, because you got to keep in mind a lot of our moisture for the entire year is really kind of locked in to one spot where we like to see it over those locations. So that's the good news for us, is that we do have that available moisture when we are talking about the snowpack. So that's good news. We like to see that. You can see the past 24 hours not really bringing us any accumulative snow for many of our ski resorts, but the base layer, again, sitting at a very healthy level, not just for Timberline Lodge, but Meadows as well, Ski Bowl, Bachelor, just the same. A live look out towards the Timberline Lodge area, where you still see that snow kind of piling up around the entrance, just really kind of that classic view for us as well. Now that snow, it's sticking around because of those temperatures falling back into the 20s in many cases. These were some of our early morning lows on Monday. So Portland, you fell to 25 degrees, Hood River 19, and over the higher terrain, we're talking about single-digit temperatures out towards Redmond at only 7 degrees, and even seeing those below freezing conditions out along the coastline. 27 for Tillamook, Newport, 37, so you were above the freezing mark, but nonetheless, definitely feeling like winter from the coast to the Cascades and everywhere in between. And this cold weather early morning trend, well, it will be taking us through the next several mornings, which we'll dissect here in just a moment. But with all of the frosty conditions, that's leaving some interesting views. So this was an image that I took out towards the Council Crest area over the West Hills in Portland. And you'll notice the ice structure on the grass. This was taken at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon back on Sunday. So the shady spots, even up at elevations close to 500 to 1,000 feet, still holding on to the ice and the frost well into the afternoon. Of course, this was a shaded area. There were a lot of trees. I was able to see this. But this is known as hoar frost, H-O-A-R. This is your little kind of learning bit for the day. So hoar frost basically develops when you have the clear nights and you have very cold conditions. So what happens is you get the dew, which we would typically see in an early morning, maybe during the summer months when we have the available moisture. Keep in mind our temperatures are a lot colder, so just a little bit of moisture really kind of goes a long way when we were talking about temperatures into the 20s. So that's going to start to freeze on some of those surfaces like grass, trees, limbs, sidewalks, even a possibility. So that frost layer starts to freeze, and it gives us these almost sometimes feather-like or almost these bars. You'll notice if you look real close that you can kind of see almost some structure here. But then if you look really close, you can almost see that there's a few water droplets. So water's kind of that unique source that, hey, it can be in all forms, a vapor, a solid, and a liquid all at once. But this is known as hoar ice because of the way it's shaped, kind of that barb-like structure, and because of the way that was happening when it was forming. Now, some people get a little confused about what hoar ice is versus rime ice. So that is more needle-like. Still forms on surfaces very similar to this, but it looks like a bunch of little needles or a bunch of little spikes. That's rime ice, and that basically forms the same type of process, but when you have freezing fog, so that moisture is a little bit more visible, and the building structure of the ice is just a little bit different. So if this kind of fascinates you, you can head over to KOIN.com right now. I've got a few more images of the hoar frost. That was the frost that I saw in the West Hills, and you can kind of read up and learn a little bit more about the ice formation as the winter season just continues to march on for us here across the Pacific Northwest. But I do want to mention that frost, again, it's like the dew sticking on those surfaces, and it's really interesting because sometimes our temperatures, we might forecast 36 degrees. Keep in mind our official temperature reading is several feet off of the ground, within just about a yardstick or so. You could see a different temperature pattern above freezing where our temperature is red, but near the surface, the grassy spots, that's where you could hit 32 degrees, or in our case, even the temperature up above early this morning was back at about 25 degrees. So even colder temperatures, maybe 22 degrees was felt near the surface, and that's why we saw those frosty conditions. So there's your little lesson of the day. I do want to pull up real quick as we take a beautiful live look out over downtown Portland. So if anyone has any comments, questions, concerns, Jamie says, how are we looking for snow down at the valley floor? That's what we're going to dive into because that is a possibility within about the next 7 days or so. So Jamie, thanks for chiming in on that part. We will get to that here in just a moment. 42 degrees is where we currently sit. Clear skies for the remainder and the clear conditions. That's just going to stay with us. One cautionary note for tonight. A cold weather advisory once again in place. This is a fairly new term to us. Again, you can head to KOIN.com to get the latest information on see what terms we did away with and what terms are now in place. But regardless, the feels like temperatures, how it actually feels on your skin because of a light breeze, it's removing some of that heat from us, from our bodies. So it's only living things that feel this. Could potentially be closer to about 25 degrees. Now, we got those cold, chilly early morning lows still expected for the start of the day tomorrow, 30 degrees. Wednesday, upper 20s. Thursday, still below freezing, well below the average of 37. But you'll notice Friday, that's when we bounce back up at those early morning lows, falling back to about 41 degrees. This is a lot different of a picture for us than what we have been seeing. And that's going to be the start of our latest weather shakeup that will include the chance for some lower valley snow. So how does this all go into play? A ridge of high pressure that's been sitting overhead for the past week to 2 weeks kept us dry, kept us sunny, gave us those cold early morning lows, is finally going to start to break down. This trough of cooler air, low pressure system, where the coldest of the conditions are expected to push their way back into our area as early as Thursday night into Friday. That's going to be increasing that rain potential, and then maybe seeing some of the snow elevation levels start to dip just a little bit lower. So here's a bit of a snapshot of what we anticipate to see over the next several days. Keep in mind, take all of this with a grain of salt. It's still several days out, subject to change. Nonetheless, the snow potential near the valley floor dips close to about 500 feet to 1,000 feet. This will be adjusting. It could potentially go up a little bit, could go down a little bit. How much moisture will we see with this? All of that is going to play in to the variable as to if we actually see active snowflakes falling or even accumulation at the valley floor for the Willamette Valley, for the Portland-Vancouver area. So there's a lot still up in the air, a lot unknown. We just kind of want to put it on your radar and let us all be a little interested in it. So I like to use this in our confidence. So us here in the KOIN Weather Department, we've been already discussing what's our confidence level on this. Right now it's very low because there's a lot of disagreement with different weather models. But what we do know is it's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Those are the days of interest that we're keeping a very close eye on because the weather models are kind of agreeing on that kind of being the bullseye for us. So having said that, that's the start of February for many folks. Thankfully, it's over the weekend until we get to Monday. Then things with travel, if everything comes to fruition, could be a little bit on the dodgier side. So that's still a potential for us. Now, we don't necessarily know the timing of when all of this will start, when the cold air is expected to dive in. There's a lot of different scenarios. By the time we get to Wednesday, we'll likely have a little bit better of an idea, and this confidence will likely go up. Now, just because the confidence goes up doesn't necessarily mean that the snow chance goes up. We could be confident that we could see absolutely nothing at all. That is very much so still on the table. So we'll just continue to kind of keep our eyes on this weekend and the start of next week. Let's go ahead and talk about those differing weather models. So we have several that I kind of like to call the HD version. Those are only going to be a few days out. We haven't gotten to that point where we can look at the HD version. This is the standard definition, I guess you could say, where we're kind of spitballing. They're kind of throwing out some crazy numbers. And keep in mind, the GFS and the ECMWF, or the Euro, European model, just a little bit easier for us than rattling out all those letters. You got to keep in mind, they've been flip-flopping back and forth. They've not been consistent. And all winter long, we've been seeing like 2 weeks out that they've been throwing out some crazy snow information. If you're on X or Facebook, maybe you've seen some weather enthusiasts talking about this. It's far too early to say in that regard. So we've been chasing this potential over the past several months, I would say. This is the first time, though, that we're actually seeing it within a little bit more of a reasonable time frame. So about a week or so out. Forecasts are really solid about 3 days out. Once you get past that 3-day mark, that's where things start to get a little wish-washy. The good news is, if you are a snow lover, that both are indicating, hey, there might be some lower elevation snow. The European model, so that's the one that's on the right-hand corner of your screen, that one's showing a better chance for places like Scappoose, Longview, Kelso, Battleground, Camas, Vancouver, Portland downtown, the West Hills, all having the potential to see the snow. And you got to keep in mind that we typically get those cold east winds, which we will have available cold air just on the east side of the Cascades to kind of trickle in through the Columbia River Gorge. So then you get that low level cold. You get the precipitation happening above it, falls into that area, and that's where you could potentially pick up on some winter weather. Now the GFS model, it was earlier in the day showing a little bit more aggression on how much snow. Now it's kind of tapered back and it's falling in line with, hey, maybe it's just the hilly locations that pick up on the potential for some accumulative snow. So it's not until we start to see these really come together and agree, which could never be the case. But if it does, then that's when our confidence really starts to increase in the potential for actually seeing some winter weather in those locations. So that's what we're keeping an extremely close eye on. Again, this is Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday. I want to pull up Facebook again, just see if anybody has any questions here. Janice says, that's all we need, more wrecks. So the reason we're telling you this is hopefully people, if this comes to fruition, that maybe we all just don't go on the roads. We reduce that chance significantly. I know not feasible for everybody. I included have to still go to work regardless of what the weather's like. And I know probably many of you are that way as well. But knowledge is power in this regard. So hopefully with a big enough heads up, we will be watching this very closely, that all of the Portland City crews, everyone here across the Pacific Northwest is ready and prepared And we all take the action that we have become accustomed to over the past 9 years in preparation of the winter weather. It is a possibility. So that's on that point. Nicole says, I'm excitedly hoping for snow. Vancouver downtown area. Hey, I'm a fan of snow too. It's something fun to talk about. It's less than ideal when you have to commute in it. Yes, I know. This would be our first winter event with winter precipitation that we've seen this year. You got to keep in mind that February, on average, which this is the timeline we're looking at, February typically sees just over 1.5 inches of snow in Portland at the airport. So take that with a grain of salt. It's always a possibility. An average is not set in stone. It is not a guarantee, but it does show that there is a potential to see some accumulative snow anywhere from PDX to downtown to Vancouver downtown, all a possibility. So that is something interesting. I'm just reading through some of your guys' Facebook comments here. Having some comments about the toilet paper, paper towels, all that good stuff. I do want to show you a graphic on that. I like to look at it as where on the snowman spectrum could we land? Right now I've put us at maybe a few flurries with no worries. That's a good spot to be, It's kind of fun to talk about. Maybe you see a snowflake or two. We're not talking about stocking up on groceries just yet and you've been stuck in your house for 5-6 days. Nothing like that. Not snowmageddon. Not like the ice like we saw last year in the middle of January. Could all those be a potential? Yeah, they could. We just got to pack our patience. Wait until we get to about the middle of this week. We'll have a better idea of what we're actually looking at. What I do know and what I'm confident about is that we will see some rain Thursday into Friday. Temperatures at that point will be on the warmer side, so we won't necessarily have that potential to pick up on maybe some of this snow potential, because when the cold air comes in, you got to keep in mind it cuts down that available moisture significantly as well. So over the next several days, if you're just now tuning in, our Futurecast really just kind of shows that we're going to stay on the dry side over the next several days. This will just load for me. Let's see here. Okay, sure. Computers, you gotta love them. It's a Monday. It says hello. I need to get myself into gear. So yeah, as this loads, we're basically going to be staying dry over the next several days. So enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy it while it lasts. We've kind of been spoiled. We need the rain because the rain deficit has now grown to over 2 inches. So we would like to see the return of that. But overall, we really are expecting to see a bit of a weather pattern change up compared to what we have been seeing so far in January. It's been a very dry month for the mountains, for the Cascades. And let's see here. If computer will cooperate in this regard. Let's see, January's numbers. Yeah, here's a look at the calendar just to kind of put it all into perspective. We're looking at all those lighter gray shaded areas. That's where we haven't seen any measurable rainfall. So that's at 15 now. And that does include those kind of slightly darker gray, so the 14th, 16th, and 17th. That's where we picked up on a trace of moisture, so not really measurable. And we did start off the month very much so on the soggy side of things. That's where we got the brunt of our moisture, over 2 1/10 inch. But now that deficit, it's growing to over 2 inches, and it's just going to keep adding up each day that we don't see rainfall. Now, with our record, let me pull that up here. So we're at 15 days right now. That's where if we approach 17 days, that would tie the record. That was January 12th through the 28th of 1948. We're going to be so close. We're going to be on that fringe. If we see a cumulative rain Thursday night, which is when we're expected to see that front slide through our area, it could potentially make it so we tie the record or surpass it. We got to see. If we have rain Thursday night, it's done and over with. We don't get a new record broken. So something to kind of look forward to. That's kind of the critical time if we want to break a record for the longest, driest stretch of weather in the month of January. Let's see if we can get back to our forecast here. All right, so let's look at our Futurecast just to give us a bit of a heads up on what we should anticipate as we work our way through the next several days. Because it's going to be dry, sunny, cold tonight into tomorrow morning. That's where we are going to pick up on a bit of a northeast breeze. You can see that those skies still cloud-free. Wednesday morning, maybe some patchy fog here and there, low impact, primarily for the central southern sections of the Willamette Valley. And then those clouds, they start to creep in with the marine layer along the coast. This is Wednesday evening, and it only increases from there. So tonight, we stay dry, we stay clear, we stay cold. Temperatures falling back to the 30s. Keep the ice scraper close at hand, not only for tomorrow morning, but over the next several mornings. As tomorrow, we see the return of the sun, temperatures into the mid-50s, the I-5 corridor, upper 40s further to the south. Low 50s for us here in Portland. Keep in mind our average daytime high temperature this time of year, right around 50 degrees or so. Out towards the east, also picking up on those temperatures into the low 40s. Plenty of sunshine for us. And then the higher terrain, even getting up into the mid-40s with another dose of sunshine. So here's your 7-day forecast. We'll take this big for you so you can see it in all of its glory. That's where we expect to hold on to the sunny skies all the way through the Lunar New Year, which is on Wednesday. Start of the year of the snake. And then we see that fringe of could a record be broken for the longest, driest streak of weather in the month of January. That's all up in the air for Thursday. And then Friday, likely going to be seeing those soaking winter rains once again return. It's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That's kind of the day that we're honing in on of could we potentially see some winter-like weather. The potential's there. Daytime highs getting a little bit cooler. Overnight lows falling close to freezing. You can get accumulative snow or any type of snow to come to fruition, even if it's not below freezing. We've seen that happen. It's a very real scenario. So our confidence right now, extremely low. By about Wednesday, we'll start to increase our confidence, whether the confidence be seeing snow or seeing no snow. At least we'll be confident one way or the other. So that's something that you want to be mindful of. Stay with us here in the KOIN Weather Department. We're going to take you through every step, every day. There will be more clarity with Kelly Barron in the morning. And then we got Jamie and Kelly and Steve at the noon, and then me through the evenings for the rest of the week. So we will just continue to keep a watchful eye on this. So thank you so much for joining us on this KOIN Now special event as winter weather potentially takes aim at much of the Pacific Northwest. Again, you can find your latest weather forecast at KOIN.com at any time. Or you can watch The 10 tonight on Portland CW at 10 o'clock or KOIN 6 News starting at 11. We'll see you guys there.